There's a lot of pain going around in the world today. There's no belief in unconditional love. There are trust issues. You hear hurt people hurt people. Why is this, right? All of this stems from the same thing, from pain, from hurt, from trauma. Yes. And we react to these things by protecting ourselves, by building either a boundary or a barrier. What's the difference between the two? Boundaries and barriers, though they both are necessary for protection, they differ in strong ways. Yes, both are for protection, but both are not healthy. One is healthy and one is not. See, I look at boundaries and barriers like lines and walls. A boundary is a line. Don't cross this line. That's setting a boundary. A barrier is a wall. Nobody can get in. Nobody can ever come to this. You can't even try to get here. Which one do you think is healthy? You see, when you set a boundary, you still love. You still allow love to come in. You still allow people to come in. You just realize that I love myself too much to be hurt to a certain extent, or I love myself too much. I won't tolerate a certain thing or a certain amount of whatever. Whatever it is, you set the boundary. But you still allow people to come in. You still allow love to flow. You still trust people. A boundary is where you draw the line. Like, okay, as long as you don't do this, this is the boundary. Don't touch that. And if somebody deliberately tries to cross that, they're not for you. You acknowledge that, and because I love myself, you're trying to cross that boundary, I'm going to go ahead and push you out to the side. And that keeps you light. You draw the line. You set the measure. You set the expectation like, okay, this is me. This is where I am. This is what I need. This is what I don't like. This is what I can't tolerate. I can't have. This is too much. You see, that is a practice in communication. That's effective communication. So when you set the boundary, you're drawing the line. What's too much? You're allowing love to flow. Okay? You're still capable of trusting. It's healthy communication. Plus, you're doing it out of love. You love yourself. You love yourself, so you're not going to allow yourself to be put through the ringer of whatever it is that you got to set the boundary on. You set that boundary. With boundaries, there's still opportunity. There's still growth. Okay? There's still development. You're still growing. You're still loving. You're still a loving person. You just set the line because you love yourself too much to be hurt in a certain manner. Now with a barrier, barriers are different. You're still protecting yourself, but it's usually from a negative place. When you draw a barrier, nobody can penetrate it. Nobody can get in. You've built up a wall, a defense. And ultimately, it's for protection, yes. But you don't have to be protected from everyone. Everyone is not out to hurt you. So those who want to love you are not allowed in. And that's a problem. Because now you're not letting love flow. Now you have trust issues because one person or a group of people or something might have happened. So now that can happen at any time. That can happen with anybody. And that's a barrier. Now nobody is allowed to love you. Now you don't trust nobody. Now we have the no unconditional love. Now we have the trust issues. And all of that comes from the barrier. You're supposed to protect yourself. Yes. But that barrier, that wall, that shield that nobody can come past, I have to do so much just to say hey to you. I have to go through your attitude. I have to go through, what somebody else has done. I got to go through, maybe being put down just to say hey to you. It's too much. So now I don't even want to talk to you. Now there's no communication. There's no love. And there's definitely no trust. When you build a barrier, you categorize everything. You categorize like everybody is in this one category. And not one person is the same. And you hold on to that hurt. You hold on and try to justify your pain. So now what this causes is a lack of communication, because anybody who tries to come to you, who tries to love you, who wants to see the good in you, who does see the good in you, and trying to come bring that out and put some love in you, you blocking it with your barrier. Your barrier just constantly blocking all of the good that can come your way. It's blocking opportunities, okay? It's stunting your growth. You lack love. You can't trust nobody because of your barrier. It usually results in the person going into isolation, which isolation is not completely a bad thing. We need to be with ourselves. We need to talk to ourselves. We need to boost and build ourselves up, yes. But if you're in isolation from the world because everybody is wrong, everybody is not capable of love, everybody is not to be trusted, then it's not everybody who has the problem. It's you. It's you. It's not everybody else. So what a barrier does, it causes a lack of accountability. Now you're not taking accountability for yourself. And you know, it's funny because I like to look at things as processes. Usually when we get hurt, we want to defend ourselves. We want to protect ourselves. The first thing that we'll do is we'll build that wall. We'll build the barrier, right? But once we go into that isolation and we get in tune with ourselves, that's when we start to remove some of these bricks, take down this wall, and draw a line. It usually starts with a barrier, and then we can turn it into a boundary. Like, okay, I've worked through this. I understand, I've spent enough time with myself to understand that that is not the only thing. That is not the only way. I've deep dived enough to know what actually caused me pain, and I could set the boundary around that instead of just not letting anyone in. And you usually get that through isolation. So isolation is not a bad thing if you're going to go through that process. But as long as you hold on to the hurt, blame everybody else, you don't take accountability for yourself, and you keep that wall up, then don't expect things to happen. Don't expect love to just penetrate through all of your defenses. Don't expect, somebody to trust you as much as you want to trust somebody else. Don't expect the world to be a better place. Don't expect things to change. As long as you got this wall up, you're impenetrable. Okay? It usually starts with a barrier, and then we break it down into a boundary. So set the boundary, but try not to keep your barriers up, because not too many people got the equipment to break down the wall, man. That's the difference between boundaries and barriers.